In the summer of 2025, North American trade was rocked by a seismic announcement that sent shockwaves through global markets and boardrooms alike. President Donald Trump, in a move that reignited old trade battles, launched a renewed tariff offensive that would dominate headlines for weeks. In his second term, Trump announced a sweeping 35% tariff on all Canadian goods entering the United States, set to take effect on August 1st. This wasn't a targeted measure, it was a direct hit to the core of Canada's economy, threatening industries from energy to agriculture and putting thousands of jobs at risk overnight. The world watched as the US and Canada faced a ticking clock to avoid economic disaster, with news outlets around the globe dissecting every development. The move capped months of rising tensions, with tariffs now a central pillar of Trump's economic policy and a symbol of his America First agenda. In June, the administration had already doubled tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum to 50%, sending shockwaves through manufacturing sectors on both sides of the border. But the 35% threat was a new level, threatening decades-old supply chains that had made North America an integrated economic powerhouse. The announcement, made on Truth Social and in a formal letter to Prime Minister Mark Carney, left no doubt about Trump's intent to force a dramatic shift in trade relations. The White House cited a persistent trade deficit, Canadian counter-tariffs, and national security as justifications, arguing that American workers and industries needed urgent protection. The message was clear: accept a new trade deal on U.S. terms, or face unprecedented economic pain and uncertainty. The threat was part of a broader strategy, with similar moves against the EU, Mexico, and other key trading partners, signaling a new era of aggressive U.S. trade policy. Initial statements suggested all Canadian goods would be hit, but later clarifications hinted at targeting USMCA non-compliant products, adding confusion and uncertainty for businesses. The final decision, as always, rested with Trump, fueling anxiety in boardrooms and factories on both sides of the border, as leaders scrambled to prepare for the unknown. The ultimatum was a high-stakes gamble to force Canada back to the table, with livelihoods and entire industries hanging in the balance. Would it work, or would it trigger a trade war with unpredictable fallout, risking recession and global instability? The countdown to August 1st began, with both nations bracing for impact and ordinary families wondering what the future would hold. The stakes, the future of North American trade, millions of jobs, and the stability of a continent's economy, had never been higher. The world waited to see who would blink first, as history stood on the edge of a new and uncertain chapter. Canada refused to be a passive target as the US ramped up tariffs, making it clear that it would not simply stand by while its economy was threatened. Ottawa responded with a calculated set of retaliatory tariffs, targeting American goods from swing states, iconic brands, and the auto sector, industries that would be felt both economically and politically in the US. The message was unmistakable: trade wars hurt both sides, and Canada was prepared to make its voice heard. Canada's strategy was precise, hitting products that would create political pain for Trump at home, while rallying support domestically. Tariffs on agricultural goods hit Trump's base. Farmers and rural communities began to feel the squeeze as prices rose and markets shrank. Duties on bourbon and orange juice hit American households, making everyday items more expensive and sending a message to U.S. consumers. Canada showed it would absorb some pain to defend its interests, even as its own citizens faced higher prices and uncertainty. But after Trump's July 11 35% tariff threat, Canada paused its own planned escalation, weighing its next move carefully. Ottawa delayed doubling tariffs on U.S. steel and aluminum, signaling a preference for negotiation over confrontation, and hoping to avoid a spiral of tit-for-tat measures. This pause was a calculated risk: de-escalate or risk being seen as weak, as officials debated the best path forward. The move put the ball back in Washington's court. Was the U.S. open to talks, or just flexing muscle for domestic audiences? Canada's approach blended firm retaliation with tactical flexibility, showing both resolve and a willingness to negotiate. It was a high-wire act: stand strong, but avoid all-out economic war, as the stakes continued to rise. The world watched as Canada balanced national pride with economic survival, its every move scrutinized by allies and rivals alike. The next move would determine if diplomacy or escalation would win out, with both sides feeling the pressure of the ticking clock. The stakes for both economies had never been higher, as businesses and workers braced for the fallout. The clock was ticking toward August 1st, and the world waited to see which path the two nations would choose. The 2025 trade conflict didn't erupt overnight. It was the result of months of mounting tension and unresolved disputes simmering beneath the surface. Instead, it was a slow, steady escalation, with each side watching the other's moves and bracing for what might come next. On Trump's first day back in office, the U.S. slapped a 25% tariff on all Canadian and Mexican imports, effective February 1st, sending shockwaves through the business community. Spring brought more increases and a wider list of targeted goods, fueling Canadian anxiety and uncertainty for both workers and consumers. By June, the U.S. doubled tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum to 50%, striking a vital sector and threatening thousands of jobs. Canada hit back with its own counter-tariffs, signaling it wouldn't back down and was prepared to defend its industries. The standoff intensified in July, as Trump threatened a sweeping 35% blanket tariff and set an August 1st deadline for a resolution. Negotiations stalled, and the threat of a full-blown trade war loomed larger with every passing day, dominating headlines. The once seamless North American trade partnership was unraveling, leaving uncertainty in its wake. Businesses faced chaos, families braced for impact, unsure how deep the effects would run. August 1st became the point of no return, marking a dramatic turning point in the conflict. Diplomacy struggled as deadlines shifted and leaders stayed apart. U.S. and Canadian officials met July 10th, but talks stalled. Trump and Carney never spoke directly. Deadlines moved, July 16th, then July 21st, then Trump's hard August 1st line. Businesses were left in limbo, unable to plan amid the chaos. Prime Minister Carney, managing the crisis remotely, vowed to defend Canadian workers. He called emergency meetings with his cabinet and provincial premiers to forge a united front. Canada's pause on tariff escalation was a gesture of goodwill, but the U.S. showed little flexibility. The August 1st deadline loomed, with global markets watching. Would diplomacy prevail, or would both sides plunge into a cycle of retaliation? The fate of North American trade hung in the balance. President Trump's justifications for tariffs centered on the U.S. trade deficit and unfair Canadian practices. He claimed America was losing out, blaming Canadian counter-tariffs and invoking national security, linking trade to border drug trafficking. But U.S. data showed less than 0.1% of seized fentanyl came from Canada, undermining the security argument. Canadian leaders called Trump's claims baseless, a distraction from real economic issues. Trump also targeted Canada's dairy system, but U.S. industry groups noted America hadn't even filled its export quotas under USMCA. The high tariffs Trump complained about hadn't been triggered, U.S. producers simply hadn't exported enough. Canada's rebuttal: the U.S. narrative was misleading and the real issue was protectionism. The war of words fueled public frustration on both sides. Facts were lost in the political crossfire. The trade war's impact is hitting key industries hard. Metals are ground zero. U.S. tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum are at 50%, with copper next. Construction, electronics, and manufacturing face chaos as costs soar. The auto industry, built on cross-border supply chains, is threatened by the 35% tariff. Cars and parts could grind to a halt. Even German automakers are caught in the crossfire, showing the global reach of U.S. tariffs. Tech is on edge. Apple and others face looming tariffs unless they move production to the U.S. grocery aisles, tell the story. Prices are up for food, liquor, lumber, and gas. Retaliatory tariffs mean higher costs for families on both sides of the border. The trade war is no longer abstract, it's a daily expense. Ordinary people are paying the price. Political rhetoric has reached a fever pitch. Trump remains defiant, framing tariffs as a fight for American jobs and fairness. His message is aimed at his base, emphasizing strength over diplomacy. In Canada, Prime Minister Carney calls for unity and vows to defend Canadian workers. Provincial leaders, including Ontario's Doug Ford, echo the call for a united front. Some, like BC's David Eby, openly challenge Trump's claims as factually wrong. The dispute has united Canadian politicians across party lines. Internationally, leaders like Brazil's Lula da Silva push back, warning the U.S. could isolate itself. Instead of concessions, Trump's strategy risks driving allies toward new partnerships. The global economic order is shifting. For ordinary people, the trade war's pain is real and growing. Everyday goods cost more: groceries, cars, electronics, lumber. Inflation acts as a hidden tax, shrinking family budgets. Workers in steel, auto, and manufacturing face layoffs and uncertainty. Small businesses, lacking resources to absorb tariff shocks, are at risk of collapse. The conflict erodes trust between neighbors, replacing partnership with resentment. Generations of goodwill are at stake. If unresolved, the dispute could permanently reshape trade and relations. The question: will leaders pull back before the damage is irreversible? The future of North America hangs in the balance.